Pokémon Worlds is just around the corner, and we all know what that means. We have announcements on the way. Sadly, and because Winds and Waves is a 2027 game, there's a big chance we don't have anything during Worlds. We all remember the 2024 closing ceremony where some of us stayed up almost all night for Pokémon Legends ZA news and then we got nothing. However, this does not mean we have nothing to hope for this year, so hey, I'm Not So a Strainer, welcome back to the channel, and something is coming. Let's get into it. Around 2 months ago, we saw this graphic right here that has a schedule for things to come to the Pokémon franchise. It is called the Soaring Mega Rayquaza campaign, and the only things that were revealed for it were TCG and digital TCG related. We have Ruler of the Skies, a Pokémon TCG Pocket set centered around Mega Rayquaza, and we have Storm Emeralda, a Pokémon TCG set, the Japanese version, centered around Mega Rayquaza as well. Both of these are out already, and we all know that the Western version of Storm Emeralda, named Delta Rain, is coming out later on November 6th. But since then we've seen more Mega Rayquaza and Rayquaza related stuff, and even though they are not necessarily connected or not confirmed to be connected to this Soaring Mega Rayquaza campaign, it's still something to keep an eye on. Pokemon Go had a timed research that focused on Rayquaza named Ozone Ascent, and we also saw the release of a Rayquaza and Zinnia Lego set. And yeah, I said these were not related to the Soaring Mega Rayquaza campaign, but the truth is, we have never seen that graphic again, and since 2 of those things are out already, and there were 2 spots before them, I think we have to assume that some other things are out as well. And if the Lego set was released on August 1st, which would put it right here, and the other 2 things, the timed research and whatever else, were released before July 30th, that means there are still 2 things that need to be released. Also, I do know that Mega Rayquaza is not in the Lego set, but whenever I see Zinnia and Rayquaza, I think Mega Evolution, and I cannot be the only one, right? And while those things are pretty cool, almost as cool as this old French Kanto map that was gifted to me by a long-time friend of the channel and that I promised to put back there on the wall, but I haven't had the time yet, sorry Philo, there is still one very cool thing that we all want, and I think is the absolute right time to get it. In the beginning of the year, we got Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green on the Switch. Those 2 games are classics of course, but they are not something you can 100% complete without some other games that need to be part of the console. Games that not only are universally loved and considered by many Pokémon's peak, but also games that have the Pokémon we've been talking about. Not the Mega, but the regular one, Rayquaza. Pokémon Ruby, Pokémon Sapphire, and the one I think most people would buy, Pokémon Emerald. I know Mega Rayquaza is in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and some of you might theorize we're getting some weird port, but we're not, I am almost sure of that. What we're getting is something that fits the current campaign, is a classic, will keep people hooked for a few more months until we actually get some news for Pokémon Winds and Pokémon Waves, and something that should have been on the Switch a long time ago. But it's not just this campaign and all that, I think they have kinda hinted at it as well. After Pokémon Fire Red and Leaf Green hit the console, some people theorized that we were certainly getting something of Gen 2 after, you know, Gold, Silver and Crystal, since they're not really doing anything with Nintendo DS games yet. I never truly bought into the idea. Game Boy Advance did feel like their aim for now, but it was possible. But recent very sad news do make this very unlikely. The closing of Pokemon Bank was announced just a few days ago and has sent shockwaves through the entire community. If you want my opinion on the matter, because that's what everyone's talking about, but I don't feel like making a video on it, I was expecting it, of course, we all were, we knew this was coming, and I'm still a little bit sad. It was one of their best services ever, and the fact alone that it lasted for this long is amazing, because I'm very sure that only a small chunk of the community actually used it. Still, we knew this was happening, there's no point in complaining now because that never changes anything with Pokemon. So the best thing we can hope for is that they find a way to add those games to the Switch so we can actually play them and transfer Pokemon between those and the more recent games. But this very sad news came together with the news that Pokemon Home is now going to be linked with Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green. They took their time as always, but it's here now and that is awesome. And as with all other home games, there's a gift for completing the Pokédex. Everyone assumed it would be a shiny Mew, and so did I, to be fair, but lo and behold, it's actually just a regular Celebi, which I'm a bit disappointed, but you know, it is what it is. Celebi though would be better connected to Gen 2, but the fact that we got it now makes me feel like that's not what's happening at all. We can get Mew, even shiny Mew if you hunt it, in Pokemon Emerald through the old Sea map. And since Fire Red and Leaf Green had all of its events, it's fair to assume that Gen 3 will as well. Why the Celebi wasn't shiny I can't really say, maybe because we got that one in Sword and Shield, I don't know. But it seems to me that there is only one way forward and that is Hoenn. And eventually with home connectivity also coming to Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, we can actually complete the National Pokédex on all of those games. Now to talk about all of those games, and because I don't think they'll release all 3 games separately at the same time, I think they'll just save Ruby and Sapphire for later and release Emerald now, or they'll release Ruby and Sapphire and if you buy both, you actually get Emerald, which is super greedy but honestly something I could easily see the Pokemon Company doing. Because let's be honest, if they list all 3 games at the same time, most people are just gonna buy Emerald. And if you are wondering what else I think they'll show us at Pokemon Worlds, I haven't given it much thought, as I don't think they will show us anything Pokemon Winds and Pokemon Waves related. I hope I'm wrong, but that's honestly the stuff I care about the most. I also care about the Pokemon TCG, and I know they'll show us some cool mechanic coming in the future, so that's a good thing. As for the rest, they'll surely talk about Pokemon Champions, they'll do something for TCG Pocket of course, and they'll do something for Pokemon Go. I think Pokemon Unite is not gonna be there because Pokemon Unite is not part of Worlds anymore. But that part I'm not necessarily sure of. The thing that I'm sure of is that there is a Mega Rayquaza campaign, the timing is absolutely right, the Celebi doesn't make sense, and so I believe Gen 3 is coming. We're not getting Winds, we're not getting Waves for Gen 10, but Hoenn is very similar to that. It has its Winds and it has its Waves. But what about you? Do you think Gen 3 is coming? Let me know down below. Now, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one. But before I go, I want to thank my YouTube members Good Old Deo, Dash Plays, The Gavanator and Attila Santo, and my Twitch subscribers and newbies here, the Dr. Joe, Teixeira23, Lazarix and Odd Cypher for going the extra mile. Thank you so much for all of your support.